This is an argument. The argument rests in what do we gain? Yeah, brothers, what they're asking you is for a donation for Brother Copley. We suggested a $2 donation if you could. Do what you can. Of course, you're welcome to not be denied. Brother Copley just wants to be able to take care of his family because y'all here, because y'all want to take care of yours. And oh man, boy, y'all gonna be in so much debt when you leave here. You're scared not to get a job. You're not gonna be able to roam around, do like the little white kids and go to Europe for the summer and shit. You're gonna be busting your ass doing something. You get a job, no, I'm telling you honestly, you ain't gonna get the learning thing. You know what a Rhodes Scholarship thing do? You know what an Oxford student do? Now, I know it's a white dude over there in Locke Hall. Is it next to Locke Hall? No, it's in the center, Blackburn Center. He's been trying to encourage students to fill out the Rhodes Scholar thing. In fact, Morehouse just had their first Rhodes Scholar ever. And the first Rhodes Scholar ever is Elaine Locke over there in Locke Hall in the philosophy department. And that says something about the philosophy that come out of it. No, it do. Because, see, you couldn't put that on my Freedom Fighters University because the name is not synonymous with freedom. And since it has an adverse impact on the race, it's not worth perpetuation. So we would take it down. But someone else would put it up. We might be on opposing teams, but then we just might not have understood each other correctly, and our standards haven't been adjusted. It may be that they may come around if you compel them to. It may be. But you must know that you have to compel this, and today you will pick up reason why. Going on. This thing has a lot more to do with pedigree than we thought, and some of you who are of the pedigree understand it better than most. For there is some pedigree playing up in ours. Oh yes, there is. They perpetrated it. And that's part of what's on the walls, the immortalizing of the ones who were members of the secret society. They're on that. We're going to get to that, like Just Hall and stuff like that. We're going to get on that. Because those names represent things. So I'm suggesting that maybe the essence of the education is compromised by the need to facilitate control, and that control ain't got shit to do with knowledge. And that support and aggrandizement of this school escalates in the period of greatest student suppression. And that I guarantee you, if you check the years when the rebellion come down, donations went down until other people guaranteed the shit won't break out again. Now you may, I don't know what they teach you up in here, but that's the ABCs of control. You go smooth. Now, so I'm making a suggestion that the reason why you want to feed into things of certain information is that the information is denied. Now the question becomes, was this on purpose or is this just an accident? Was it a plot or not? Is it a plot or not? Who is in political science here? In political science, who is the chairman of the Trilateral Commission? Who is the president of the Council on Foreign Relations? Who is the head of the UN Association? Okay. Who else? What you in, brother? Follow side? You know the answers to any of them questions?
The UN, the head of the UN, isn't that Boutros Ghali?
Yeah, that's the head of the United Nations, but I said the UN Association, they're the ones that tell him what to do. See, there's something about the information I give that's not the logical connection, like the president. If I said you're in political science, you should know who the Trilateral Commission is. It's because they're the ones who became the policy study group that put the world in the three cluster theory of world power. We are operating now out of the three cluster theory of world power that compels that North America merge into one unit. Tree. You should know this. How many of y'all believe there'll be a black revolution one day? Russ said, nope, never happened. You're probably right. He said, hedge your bet. That's nothing wrong with that. This dialogue is hedged in the cornerstone dialogue of what will make it happen. What will make it happen is that you know the pieces that are compromising the globe and that you will undo what is done because won't undo it if you don't know what it is. One way never to have to fuck with it is to never force yourself to know. Like dude said, look, man, I'm having a good time. Don't fucking confuse me with the facts. I know what I'm going to do, bro. I'm going to get me a job. I'm going to get me some coochie. Man, I'm going to get high. I'm going to have a nice career. And I'm going to get the designer shit, and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to play hip-hop or some shit. You know? And what you all think going on with this gangster rap shit? You know ain't no gangster rap been plaguing black people in America for 500 years. We ain't suffering from gangster rap. I was in Chicago. Surprisingly, AT&T is sending a lot of employees out to meetings around the country. It is the largest employer in the United States. You may underestimate the power of the phone company. It's still on. AT&T sending people out. I was just lecturing in Chicago, and the lady said, well, you know, why you getting all in the bottom of these secret societies? Why don't you stop gangster rap? I said, well, is this gangster rap real bad? She said, yeah. I said, well, why don't you name me the name of some gangster rappers and tell me just what they said? She said, I can't do that. Now, what does that mean? That means that someone knows enough about loving the hunky that they perpetrate what the hunky say and don't even know what it's about. And there are many others who you could challenge or check. If you have the authority of the information, you can back it up. If you can accumulate the spiritual power to enforce your knowledge. It is not just that someone knows what is wrong and what is right. It is that you stand up to impose what you know to be right based upon the accumulation of the spiritual power that you set away and stored by always keeping your relationships in a way that you were trying to max out on the spiritual side because you got to call on things you don't have. You can't call up a helicopter, so you may have to call on a thunderstorm. See, you used to know more about this shit. The school done fucked all this up. Supplanted dumb sciences and kept you away from the metaphysical alliance you had with the universe, brought your ass to the planet in the beginning. The hunky say hello, because he got a double thing going. He into hell and oh, that's part of his thing. You wasn't into that. You was into some other shit. Reagan wasn't sitting up having his wife use a horoscope lady to protect him from CIA, FBI, Army, and Air Force, and he the fucking president. He wasn't doing all of that because astrology don't work or it didn't mean shit. But how did it get here? You took it out of the sky and brought it here. That's a whole, every time you get down to the essence of what they're doing, then all of a sudden it's a big hoopaloo. It's a big hullabaloo now about what Colin been saying for 20 years. Colin got to take the goddamn white man, make this shit look like cream cake. So what is it that now Colin is a thing? Brother, hey brother, that donation is for Brother Coakley. If you want to come in and enjoy the lecture, he just started up. That's Brother Coakley asking for support. And rather than to make him sick for making you sick, you eat the sick. That's what it do now. I ain't lying to you. They don't want to teach you that in mental health because they make money off of your unhealthiness. What do you think an alcoholism worker, a mental health worker, a drug worker, a social worker, what do you think they get paid for? For watching the people and make sure they don't fuck with the hunky. Why do the hunky fund alcoholism treatment? Because a violent black alcoholic might get mad and go fuck Rockefeller on a wine. Now, wouldn't that disappoint the Rockefeller family that they lost out on a wine? Because the boy stood by the limousine and attacked the motherfucker when he come out. Wouldn't that be terrible? I mean, I'm telling you, wouldn't that be terrible? Right, so Rockefeller said, well, fuck, let's have some alcoholism treatment workers out here. He said, how about get them motherfuckers be on drugs? Rockefeller, he said, well, you know Exxon provides the paste that makes the cocaine. I mean, we don't provide the drugs, but we do make it white. So we do provide that. Yeah, we might let them use some of our oil tankers to bring it in. I mean, so what? As long as we keep control on the thing. But put some drug treatment workers out there in case one of them others get high and shit and start talking about fucking that Rhodes Rothschild secret society. Yeah, you better get somebody in there to stop that shit. Said, what about the social worker? You know where the first school of, free tape for the person who know where the first school of social work was at.
New York City.
And false. Boy, look, I'm gonna get to keep all my shit. Y'all don't know nothing. You see? I mean, y'all know stuff. It just, I Y'all know shit. Y'all know a lot of shit. It just ain't gonna keep you alive against the beast. That's a good concept. That prison was a part of social work, but it also got locked in some other myths called justice and shit. We'll just separate that for a minute. And somebody said Chicago, that is correct. That is the city. But Jane Addams was the first one to instigate social work. That's correct. Is that the UFC? There you go. Okay, that cost me $14. I finally got 8 questions, finally got 2 takers. And I have to reinforce the behavior I want to foster. I mean, that's what they do. They told you something good was going to happen if you stayed here 4 years and behaved and shit. I mean, look, imagine. I seen some of them teachers over there, right? Right? You sat there 6 months, wrote down everything the motherfucker said. Now look at y'all. Y'all ain't nobody writing down nothing but Kobe said. 2, 3 people. Monkey talk all day, right? Ain't saying shit. You write down every motherfucking thing he say, and you scared to miss a line. And then at the end of that, 6 months, he tests you on the shit. And then he give you some big old shit, ain't no bigger than that, a letter. It's either A through F. It ain't no bigger than that on a piece of paper. And you sit 6 months for that shit. 3 times a week, a couple hours a day, and don't miss a word. Be sleepy in a motherfucker, mad at a motherfucker, don't want to do it, cussing all the way through it. For a letter. Then you got to do that 8 times. Now that's some heavy shit. That's an agent of social control if I ever seen one. What y'all gonna get a job? I mean, I'm telling y'all got what the fuck is gonna happen? What's gonna happen, brother, when you leave here?
Brother, I don't know what you feel that. But
all right.
I'm gonna have to put it in place.
That's what everybody got to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out and some road stuff.
That's true, brother. That's where the Wizard of Oz. The only way you're gonna make it is if we pull a curtain on the wizard. You understand the principle of the wizard? He's the one that runs Oz, but nobody ever saw him. He's a bad motherfucker. Everybody behaved to him. But actually, if you get up on his ass and beat the OEO boys, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, DC Police, Park Police, Howard Security. But there's some good brothers on there, though. I'm going to tell you, there's some good brothers on there. I don't know about you, but there's some good brothers on there, too, all right? I'm not saying that. I don't mean, and I'm going to really have to apologize to a brother director and the other people here, because in my process of dehumanizing things that I know are no good for you, that are based upon years of scientific study, I have to do it in a way that doesn't cause you to disrespect or less respect the brother doctor whose intentions and desires to assist you may be his primary reason for being here, because he might could be someplace else for better money. So I don't want to, in my jeopardizing or criticizing the institution to serve you better, want you to disrespect the individuals in the institution who may be no more able to change it than garbage can change Kleenex, whatever that meant. That just was nonsense. You understand? All right. This book here, The Masons Who Helped Shape the Nation, was written by the white guys right down the street. Here's the guy that wrote it, Henry Clausen. This book don't cost but $8. Now, if I taught you how would you get this during orientation? Because being in the District of Columbus, seeing that when they put that little woman back on the Capitol building, seeing that when they relayed the cornerstone of the White House just a couple of weeks ago, that it was the Masons who did it. That's right. So why wouldn't I at my school teach you the importance of the Masons in laying the cornerstone of a nation that's an illegal enterprise? The context for a black political revolution is hedged in language, qualifying language. It's a semantical entry point. It's based upon an allegation. You all know what happens when they have these drug dealers, when they catch the drug dealers, and they say they take their boat, they take their house, their car, and all that shit. You seen them seize this shit, them racketeering laws and shit. Y'all seen that? Y'all seen that?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So likewise, they have set a president, a legal president. that if someone is in an organized illegal enterprise, that if you catch them or lay claim on them, you seize everything they've gained since the inception of their illegal activity. I say the shit started in 1776. And that everything they gained since the first 13 states was an illegal criminal enterprise, and under the RICO statutes, we're going to whip it on their ass. Check? Now, this is the context for a black revolution. It's an unbreakable hold upon a certain set of knowledge that has a carefully laid pathway on illegal actions of whites, who then imposed a set of laws called the Constitution. Let me hear you say it.
Constitution.
Right, because you can't forget it now. They produced Congress. And so, and you know the system is built on confidence. The system is built on you believing some shit that's unbelievable. It's built on confidence. You've been look here, y'all might stand to get a refund on this shit. I mean, don't feel bad. You might go to the Revolutionary Court, we had to refund you $40,000 that they took from you here under false pretenses. So you went in 4 years, how much you stand for? $40,000. Boom. Now don't think they won't help kill you. How many of y'all took them shots before you joined? How many of y'all agreed to carry a virus from some honkies that you never knew to get in? Since ain't none of y'all gonna raise your hand, I'll throw it in reverse. How many of y'all didn't take it? See, some of y'all don't go there. That's why you raise your hand. Oh, dig that. What did you get? What would you get this? Hold on. What would you get different? Oh, man. Oh, shit, y'all.
Nurses don't even change the blood, you know what I'm saying? And charge you extra. And
Charge
tell
you.
you that they're going to charge you.
Oh, hey.
Even if you don't get them here, and you already had them, you get charged.
Now look here, don't y'all fuck around and get to drinking the tap water either. I ain't y'all seen Brother Copley lecture. He was telling people, don't be fucking with that water. That's a little donation for Brother Copley there. It's well deserved. Let's put $1, $2 in there. Hey, Brother Copley, tell him about that tap water. Got that cryptosporitis in the shit. Shit cause a flu in a healthy person. Then the water out in the DC in the middle of the cold, man. And the only places had safe water was two places. What was the two places that had safe water? And Walter Reed. Now, if some shit break out, you get thirsty. Now the fuck you know where to go. Right? You got the shit? Walter Reed is right up 16th Street. Check.
White House is the other way.
See, y'all are some strategic motherfuckers and don't know it. Y'all really a country unto yourself. You really don't know it. But motherfucker was bad up in these dorms. They had y'all ass organized. Y'all be walking through the neighborhood. Y'all be the strongest black force in all of Washington, D.C. If this many people in the room walked out of here every day for a week and just showed themselves walking around for a week. Listen, y'all, listen, it's real simple. Hey, you know what? Isn't it too bad school don't have a curriculum called Freedom Fighting? No, I'm telling you, when I was in college, I wanted to fight for black people's freedom. And I couldn't find within the offering of the university the curriculum that was appropriate for that. No, I mean, really, why wouldn't that be a good school to go to that trained you how to organize in your community, how to pull and make leadership in your community, how to set up a greenhouse so you could feed the people who would accept your leadership better when you fed them? How about setting up a fish farm? Do they teach that? How about solar power? They work you on solar power? You can put a fish farm, solar power, and a greenhouse right across the street and feed the whole neighborhood. It wouldn't cost $30,000. One of y'all got a $30,000 car. Give up one car would feed a neighborhood. We have misplaced values. Our values do not meet our behavior. And that's why we don't know that George Moose is the Undersecretary of State for African Affairs. Because though we love Africa, it has not translated into our behavior. And that's all I really want to see happen. If you into the religious thing and you fighting the devil, then catch the devil every now and then. We want some results from your alleged beliefs. That's all. And if you don't learn nothing for the rest of your life, I don't give a fuck if you get a degree from the whole war or not. I wouldn't care if you had 2 degrees from it. I wouldn't care if you never made it out of this semester. It will have nothing to do with the essence of your relationship with your other brothers and sisters, and it will have nothing to do with whether or not you beat the train that's going to put the black people in the oven on the next go-round. Everybody's Holocaust is overplayed, and yours is being disrespected in the public right now. Right now, it's all about killing you, and by killing you, no one has to be to blame for it. You see what white people, here's the New York Times prints an ad against Dr. Collins, right? Didn't it? New York Times prints an ad against Dr. Collins. But then, the New York Times, where my folder is at? There's a folder missing. I was going to show you an article. No. It's another set of stuff. Here we go. Just to show you what they're doing in the meantime, you don't not know the positions in Africa for a reason. This is what the white guys are doing now. This is the stuff they talking about. Read the caption. Is colonialism a social welfare program? Is it a jobs bill? I'm going to show it to you in a second. Y'all see it good? Do y'all see that big benevolent white hand with the little black hands looking up to it, trying to get something? You see the symbolism involved in that put down? Colonialism is back, and I'm over too soon to look at that little subcapital. Let's face it, some countries just ain't fit to govern themselves. Now who the fuck do you think they talking about? They talking about Africa like that? And the same thing they playing into the neighborhood. Now this should be in see what else would be? African studies. Anybody here in African studies? You in African studies? This should be in African studies. In fact, African studies had a little program over there hosting the UN Association, and I went in there with a couple of more brothers and busted it up. Coming there with this hardcore hunky dialogue. Say, hey, you on the Council on Foreign Relations. You at the Brookings Institute. You at the UN Association. You the diplomat over there on arms control. Brother Coakley has intercepted your information, and I seem to catch you insinuating you getting ready to fuck up Africa. What do you plead here? One article says aid to Africa must be palliative, not curative. Another article in Foreign Affairs said we will so starve Africa it will beg to be recolonized. This is an all-hunky magazine. They don't carry the stigma of Dr. Collins' race hatred because they do the things they say. They're considered economic development specialists, colonialists. In fact, the better term is liberal colonialists. You see the article? What article? I turn it to the center. This says New York Times Sunday Magazine, April 18, 1993. Everybody should have a copy of it. In fact, if you all be willing to have me, I'd be willing to come back another night, and we'll do this some other night, and we'll just go on from where we leave off at. But you need to have the information in your hand because only the people who will listen are the people who listen to you. I may never see the people in your sphere, so you have to be empowered with the knowledge to influence those around you. Because when you tell someone it's a conspiracy, when you tell someone it's wrong, then they challenge you. The knowledge or the evidence becomes the show point. So when you drop yours and they don't drop theirs, they're either emotional or in on it. And either conclusion makes them unapproachable and unaccessible. Oh, I'm sorry, brothers. I should have done it for y'all. It's suicide. This is the vote God. This is the ultimate key to remove yourself from the problems you suffer from. You're going forward. That's how they got it. That's how you're going to get it back. Now, fuck all of it. Now, I guarantee you, what you remember of a misplaced education is less important but you got cancer and you didn't know it. And I done an exam and found out you suffering from this cancer called white supremacy. So I say, well, look, you know, I have many remedies that I can offer to you. One of which is Tylenol. Take 2 of the motherfuckers every 4 hours, and I guarantee you, at least if you take it for 20 years, you will feel a little pain. It got some codeine and some, what's that other shit they give? Thorazine and Valium to numb the effect of the cancer. But you know, I don't know if you know much about medicine. And who was that? Was the medical man over there. If a motherfucker got cancer and the shit is eating up the living parts of his cell, what must you do to stop it? Cut it out. Now, I don't know what you think about this, but I'm suggesting to you that the people who don't like you will not stand still. They're not benign. They malignant. They eat shit in the meantime. See, whether or not you get with me or make up your mind that the things I tell you may have a greater priority than the things you're doing is irrelevant to the fact that the motherfucker's still eating up everything they can get their hands on. Whether you vibe on them or not, whether you snap out or not is irrelevant to the fact that they're still moving forward. They're openly advocating stealing shit that don't even belong to them. They're at a deep stage of their thing, and now that they've got the focus on the young black male, because it is in this book right here, and you need to see the shit. Zygmunt Brzezinski, who's former national security advisor, come out with a book called Out of Control. And this is the book right here, Global Turmoil on the Eve of the 21st Century. And he talks about NAFTA and a world government called Confederation. Sound like some Star Trek shit. And other things. But you know what he says, the only thing stop the New World Order? Black urban unrest. And you know amongst that who he says is the primary motivating element? The young black male. He says if only we could beat the young black male, the goal of the white man conquering the earth and all its resources will be complete. In the midst of that, the leadership has allowed the hunky to make immediate focus of all the hate and distrust in the society. And you ain't never even had a chance to fuck up nothing. They're not going to tell the difference between you and someone else because there's no way to tell. If they do it to one you think deserve it, then they're going to do it to you, called mistaken identity. They're not going to differentiate. You with me? The targeting of you is one of the most serious things that happen in your lifetime. You see, in the 60s and early 70s, the students almost brought about a social revolution. And the hunky got so scared, he went up into Kent State and shot down the white kids to let the white kids know, if you fuck up this thing we coming with, we'll shoot your ass too. Then they shot the black students at Jackson State, and the student shit just fizzled. It just busted away. It fizzled away, and then the grants started coming, and they turned the grants into loans. Yeah. I went to school all on grants. I went to school right after the riots in the 60s. I got grants, student defense grant, nurses grants. I got grants I didn't even ask for. Keep a nigga in college and make the other niggas believe in the system was the goal after the rebellion. Then once everybody got checked in, then it was cool that shit down. Make sure that shit don't never happen again. That's why I told you, after that last rebellion, much pressure was put to suppress this campus. They even changed presidents. And they wouldn't have brought this guy in unless he could guarantee suppression. Now, we found President Jennifer at the Boule meeting, didn't we? Mr. Hebrew?
Yes, sir.
He was at the Boule meeting that was held recently at the Pentagon City in Ritz-Carlton. All this means is just this, that he knows of the secret society that's primary responsibility is to protect the richest and the highest of all humanity. That's all we know, is that he knows who these people are. And the biggest danger to you is that his knowledge of knowing of them has compromised his desire to stop them, whose goal is to stop you, who will be sold by someone older than you, and it won't be until you get that old to find out the deal went down. And to get even, you're going to try to sell someone under you, and the cycle will keep going. because that's true. We got a lot of false idol worship we got to deal with, but it's something I need to show you. Stand up a second. I want to show them something. What fraternity you in? Turn to the audience. Okay. And let's see your hand. Show them the secret handshake. Can't do it? Can't do it. All right. Brother Copley, an honorable brother. Do we stand for the race? Right, but there's something that separates us. Show me the handshake. I know the handshake. Okay. I don't need to be informed. I'm just checking your loyalty. All right. Now I did that for you. Because there are layers of societies within the race that separate us, so on the surface we believe we're all together. And I don't mean to put him on the spot, because what you need to understand is he's not doing it because he doesn't want to. There was an oath that he took that says that he wouldn't do it, or else something would happen to him for doing it. Now, recently we was in Chicago. There was a brother named Mark Allen in the Kappa. He's a little social activist. He gets real involved and stuff. And I called him up to the stage and asked him to reveal the handshake. And he turned to the audience. He says, "Now, I know I ain't supposed to do this shit." He said, "But I'm telling you something. I am more afraid of Brother Copley, who has the hearts and the minds of the people, who could ruin me with the people I really want to serve, than I am of a fucking Kappa. So I'm going to do the handshake." And he did the handshake. But when he went off, the brother, he didn't know who was in the room who wasn't Kappa. There were 200 people in the room. A brother who went and got another brother did confront him in the back of the room. And he just hollered out. He said, "I'm telling you now, I'm more afraid of crossing Copley than I am the Kappas," right? And I want y'all to understand that, because we've gotten to the point now where prioritizing getting at the hunky is the number one thing. And that's the only allegiance we have with each other until we kill the cancer. All right? There can't be anything to separate you from the divine elements of your race. Not even a bad attitude. Can't be so. And the thinking that there's privilege and pedigree in your atmosphere is only conducive is that everybody else ain't been busted, because after they bust the other ones, they'll come bust you. You need to feel on that. And so we're down in Dallas, and I'm going to go to Dallas this weekend. And I have the honored privilege of working for my people. I go from here to there, working with my people. I get the privilege of working with brothers and sisters of our race all over the world. This is an honor. And you know what? There's no job description for this job. There was nobody that was doing it before me that made me think that if I only did that, I make more money than I ever made in my life. I used to be special assistant to the mayor of Chicago at $36,000, getting ready to go to $52,000. I lost that job because I wouldn't shut the fuck up. But I also knew that it must have been something to what was going on, so I held out. Now I make more than that. I lost a job before that for saying Columbus discovered America, and jeopardized my job as chief of staff for a Chicago alderman, because she said, the Italians said, I have to be punished. And unless I accepted this punishment from the Italians, it would be proven that she couldn't control her own staff. And she couldn't make it in the white world, that she could control the people who worked under her. Meridian. A lawyer, Mason. You come into court, you trying to scuffle up, get some legs laying, and trying to stand on the square and shit to send a signal. Another motherfucker come in there and do some shit, just say, "Dismiss." Say, that motherfucker did something. Now, his shit was worse than mine. He went in there and scuffled with his feet, stood on the square, and call it something. "I do solemnly swear." Shit like that in code. Now, y'all should go down to this house of the Mother Supreme. Y'all too damn close. And go on a tour. In fact, one day, maybe we ought to hook it up, Brother Eddie, that we just leave here one afternoon, say, hey, we get together at 12 or 1, and go on over there and go on the tour and look at some of the shit in there. That's where Alvin Pike buried at. You need to go up in there. Right down the street here, with them two big sphinxes out front. 16th and R. Right down the street here. You need to go there. One day we ought to, can we do that, Eddie, one day? And then on another day, we're going to go to that George Washington Masonic Temple. Y'all seen that shit over there in Virginia, on King Street. You can go in there too, free tours and stuff. You got to go up in there because when the revolution comes, that's where evidence is located. You see, if the revolution is valid, we must have a trial to deal with those who have violated the revolution. I tell an informant, I don't care if you inform for the hunky, but when the hunky lose and we get the file cabinets, we're going to fuck you up. And all you're doing is hedging your bet. Your shit is good as long as he's winning. The tide turned, we got you. Yes, brother.
What's up with the Black Mason organization?
The Black Masons, I think, on the surface, represent nothing wrong. The only problem is this. The Black Masons are caught in a dilemma with the White Masons. For example, I took some brothers here from out of town over to the George Washington Masonic Memorial. When you go there, they want you to sign in to see if you're a Mason or not. If you're a Mason, they give you a more in-depth tour. If you ain't a Mason, they give you a less in-depth tour. Okay? So we go over there, and so one guy with me come in from out of town from Texas. He was a Mason, Prince Hall Mason. So at a certain moment, the white tour guide, he inches up on us. He says, you know, he says, too bad them Prince Hall boys didn't keep their charter going, you know. And I know y'all saying, boy, Copeland got slop all over his mouth and shit. I could do a lot better if I talked a lot slower, but then I wouldn't get much shit in. So, and I want that food to get cold. I know y'all know y'all eating tonight too. Huh? Oh, okay. All right, listen up. So the white guy said, he said, too bad y'all Prince Hall guys didn't turn that charter in when we called them in, because technically y'all are illegitimate. See, they had this argument going over charter. See, to be in Masonry, to set up one group, you got to get chartered by an already existing group, so that every group is linked through a charter. And each charter is supposed to link you all the way back to Kemet. Only problem is that the white boys can't go that far back. The blacks are caught in some dilemma over whether their charter came over from Prince Hall's daddy, who was white, mama was black, and whether his charter came over on a boat, which is perceived to have been the boat that the Boston Tea Party was held on. And that the honkies tearing the boat up wasn't about taxation without representation. It was about trying to find Prince Hall's charter so they could bust up the black guys from having their little Mason thing, and they got hooked in with the Irish Lodge boys. The problem is this. If you can't trace the shit back to Kemet, we don't want to get caught in no argument over whether we got a charter from a hunky. If the hunky don't bring his shit back to Upper Kemet, then the hunky illegitimate. And I turned to the white Mason boy and said, look, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell Brother Man the same thing. On the scheme of things, ain't neither of y'all in the saddle in terms of the original secrets. And both of you will be superseded by a higher order which can trace itself back to Kemet, of which all things you purport to be. Now, they both sat there and figured out that they may be closer together than me and the brother. Because if I bust up one of their games, I don't automatically bust up the other guy's games. And sometimes if you got a con game going, as long as the other game ain't broken up, your game won't be fucked up too. Population controls 72% of the wealth, leaving 99.9% of the people to split the other 28%. That's where crime comes from, the unequal distribution of the resources. Because just think 99 brothers over here in the wall, and somebody gave y'all 28 cookies, and y'all got to break them up equally. It ain't gonna happen. Some fight gonna start, right? Somewhere in there, bad housing gonna come down. Somewhere in the middle of that, they're gonna have to raise tuition on cookies. Oh, okay. Y'all kind of understand this thing now, a little better, right? Isn't this something they can put up 40 billion for the savings and loan, but they can't lower tuition? I mean, they got something going on y'all don't even understand. You don't never even know if the honky print the money. You don't know if the honky shot the weapons off. You don't even know it. He got it set up where it's beyond your even mere ability of testing it. So you have to have confidence in it, and it's based upon false premises. He has never delivered. He has never kept a promise with any population ever. And that's why I even got on the minister about meeting with them Jewish rabbis. He had no business meeting with them funky-ass Jewish rabbis who ain't going to never come around. They're not looking for conversion. Now let me read you this statement here about religion. The issue of equality is already generating increased attention from the world's major religions. Over the centuries, the great... Who do you work for? Martin Marietta. Yeah. MCI? Which one? FBI? No. Over the centuries, great religions have quite naturally, okay? Where I leave off at? I forgot where I left off at.
Variance of reality.
Right, there you go. And it must be something about that we don't know about. It says here, as institutions, they have been driven by the imperatives of reality to make their accommodations with the powerful and the rich. In time, in spite of themselves, they have tended to become reinforcements of the status quo. Notwithstanding their genuine moral concerns and self-sacrificial sense of mission that has motivated those who have dedicated their lives to religious vocation. Yeah, right. That's a heavy statement. You may greatly underestimate what he concludes, but he says no believer in God gonna fuck this up. Because it's one thing believer in God's have in person. They fear the big white devil. Check on that. The context is that this is an illegal government. Correct? Check? Okay. Now, in that context that this is an illegal government, that anything done against it is righteous.
Well, just put it in final revolution, that's all.
I just did it.
Anything that's righteous within a legal context.
You rephrased and added something now. What word you just add?
Legal.
Huh? What word? You know the word. There you go. Because ain't nothing about a revolution that got nothing to do with a law made by a mere man.
3 steps, that's all.
First one, you need a book.
Right,
The book has to be an analysis of who's in power.
right.
The first tier of who is in power is those with the most power.
Okay.
The second tier are those who work for those in the most power.
That's good.
And the third tier are those who aspire to be in the second tier.
That's still number 1 step.
That's the number one step of power analysis.
Step number 2.
Is an inventory.
All right.
Everything that exists. You will never have an interest in taking Washington until you know where Washington really is. How many street lights? How many streets? How many garbage pickup trucks? How many street sweepers? How many airplanes at the airport? How much jurisdiction does a particular area maintain must be inventoried in a way that the people understand that there are enough goods and services to be spread equitably such that an investment in a revolution would actually be a betterment in their personal life. Step number 3 is like a chess game. You have an opening, a mid-game, and an end game, which results in something called checkmate. It's no more complicated than that. And I'll tell you this, if you check the leadership that people follow, you will find that they have no program for the day after the hunky because they never see a day without the hunky.
I don't understand number 3. Please explain it for me.
Oh, it ain't that complicated. But let's do this here. Let's do this here. Step number 1, what would you do first if you were a pawn in a chess game?
I'm ignorant, man. I don't know. I don't play chess.
You don't play chess?
No, I don't know.
All right.
Stand up.
Huh? Yes, go ahead.
Well, if you're finished with the brother right there, I'd like to know who are the members.
He's finished.
I'd like to know who are the members of the Boule, so we're more informed on, who's actually faking the phone, with the brother.
Okay.
What is it?
That was
Two
my
things.
question.
Let me do this. Hebrew, I need you to grab that ticket roll. Let me say this here. Brother Hebrew is going to walk around and ask the last couple of people who want to get a raffle ticket. Let me just do this so this can be done so we can pull this raffle ticket in a minute. The raffle is for a Steve Coakley video called Black Jewish Relations 1993, which carries the history of the whole black and Jewish relationship thing. That's what's in the tape. The raffle tickets are $1. You have to hold your hand up to tell people that you want one. What happens?
Break those up, bro.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to put them in. As soon as I pull the rest of them out, because someone took the donation money and put the door money in the what you call it money.
Are you selling it? Or do you have another one for those for sale?
I only have it in audio, I believe. Oh yeah, I do. I'm sorry. Yeah, I do have another one for sale. If it's wanted. Now, we have, I believe, about 12 raffle tickets, and the video is worth 30, so I'd like to see it rise up a little higher. Oh yeah, good point. Good point. And brother, you got the last donation box up there. That's it. Why don't you? Is there some in it? Why don't you bring it on up here and dump it down, because we won't take anything from anybody past this point. Thank you, Brother Surratt. Thank you.
Who heard that?
How many of you all saw the Bill Cosby piece with the I Spy the other day? Yeah, I know brother heard it. There was a little piece here. It was an I Spy piece, and him and Robert Koch was the agents, you know. And so he went in. How many of y'all saw the program? At least the opening of the program started with a guy with Cosby putting his hand over this palm print reader, and the palm print reader was to give him access to this secret chamber where the field command structure was, who was doing the spotting. Thank you. And what happened was, as Hebrew with the raffle tickets, raise your hand, because believe me, if you win that video for $1, you'll be most happy. And I just want to make sure at least that you all give me enough money from the video to pay the person that made it and shit. Anyway, show you right. As a person who made it looks behind the fold and says, show you right. Brother Charles. That's Brother Charles back there. Brother Charles has done a revolutionary thing. He's left his job, a nice secure job with the U.S. government, and he's decided that he would be far better off not stomaching when to show up at 8, when to go to lunch at 12, when to have to work overtime, when to get laid off. He's decided that he'd be far better off as a brother coming out, selling things that black people can use, and working and assisting black people who are doing something decent than he could working that good U.S. government job with that good health insurance, with them good benefits. He believed he'd be better off with us. And that's going on all over, brother, as the star to the chess game. The pawns are moving out. See, in chess, no piece can make a move until the pawns move first. Remember that. And remember that Meridian commercial. Oh, especially y'all in the military, check this shit if it ain't coded. They have a commercial with the Marines on a checkerboard, with the black and white checkerboard, with the white knight fighting the black knight. The white knight wins, holds his sword up, and the motherfucking sword gets lightning in his shit. That was some heavily encoded shit, because it got something to do with the Marines and the Knights of Templars. And when we go to that George Washington Masonic Memorial across the river, I'm going to show you exactly what they was doing with that Marine, show you that same suit of armor sitting up there on the floor giving honor to the Knights of Templar. We talked about the boule. You go to that floor with the cedars of Lebanon, you will see the Grecian Sphinx there, which is the boule's logo. You tore up all the tickets and threw $2 now? All boys Catholic high school in Chicago. Them motherfucking priests told my mama I looked at them twice, she'd hit me. I mean, this was built up deep inside of her, was respect of the hunky, and I was going to get the education that she couldn't get. So I had to obey, de la Salle. So I had to obey, and I got kicked out of school for having a mustache, got kicked out of school for having an afro. I got kicked out of school after watching the brothers in the Olympics put their gloves up. I went to the basketball game, put my gloves up. Motherfucker drugged me out the stands and beat me in front of the whole gymnasium. Trying to beat the African out of me, knowing the Catholic Church colonized every race of people they ever walked up on. Colin was right, it was a no-good pope. But he's a fucking no-good pope for supporting colonialism that brought the Catholic Church countries like South America, which is all Catholic, still, in spite of being colonized by them. First, they sent in the religious leaders who softened up the population for the military. Watch that movie, The Mission. Oh, don't worry, he don't want nothing no far. He ain't coming out here. Don't have to worry about him. You don't want to get in the bottom of this because I go deep enough, we'll get there. And so it is this group that we ran across in 1990 in an article in the LA Times, July 18, 1990, entitled Elite Fraternity, Wide's Agenda of Black Men. Now, as you can see, in fact, that ain't you on this. Look at some of these faces. Any of y'all faces on the cover here? The Boule has a foundation. They've been giving away a lot of high school grants and college grants. That's somebody say they in here? That's your picture? That's your picture that you're
Oh!
Damn!
Lottie's picture. It's on the cover.
Is it?
Lottie, yeah. Lottie.
Oh, yeah. Listen up, listen up.
Lottie's in the Boule.
This organization, let me just tell you quickly. Now, I mentioned I got a $5 tape up here. 2, 3 of y'all put your money together and get the tape. So y'all go up in the room and get on it because the tape will compel you. This tape and this information has weight that goes beyond mere Copley. Don't fucking get caught up in me harassing with you. It's bigger than me. I'm a vehicle for some shit to work through me as long as I obey the tenets of it. The shit he afraid of, the shit that compelled the military and the attorney to do things, compel me to tell all. It's supposed to be no more secrets, as the old movie said. And the point of it is, I am scared of not doing what I'm compelled to do. The lecture I'm giving you tonight is the same lecture motherfucker getting ready to pay $1,500 for. Why is your lecture the same as theirs? Because if I don't serve your ass when you call upon me, then I will lose my right, my privilege, and access to the knowledge, which is extraordinary. And so I understand that to be the ultimate law, just like that shit right there was not white man made. The shit that makes things fall when they can't support themselves is the law of gravity, and that affects every motherfucker equally. It is. Army don't treat you equally, but gravity do. If your shit don't propel, it falls. Now that's some heavy shit. Now I'm scared of that shit. I'm scared of that shit. That's that you reap, you sow shit. Go around, come around, eye for an eye shit. Now that's the shit that scare me. I'm scared of that shit. So my behavior is based upon my fears. Kurt Smoke. How can a black man would a Jewish student accept money from the Hitler Foundation? You know it without a doubt. Only black people have values that don't get supported by their behavior. That's a psychopathic thing. You've adjusted to something that's unadjustable. It's almost accepted that you will adjust to each and every moment of it. One little sidebar, white knowledge. I want you to understand this. Michael Jordan is sitting on the bench, and here come Larry Bird. He said, "What you eating, Mike?" He said, "Oh, I got a Big Mac." He said, "I played before." So they start this process of off the freeway, over the highway, through the backboard and all this other shit, right? You seen that shit? Yeah. Well, my little son come up to me and said, Daddy. He said, "What do Michael Jordan get if he win?" And I said, "Son, that's the problem with us. We keep playing for our own sandwich." We keep playing for our own sandwich. And he got paid $1 million. He got paid $1 million to do some dumb shit. That's white knowledge. That's white knowledge. Always. Then they got another commercial. It go a boat. Boat run off. They get into a Super Bowl. Motherfucker runs all the way up a skyscraper. Get all the way to the top, and the hunky say, "Oh, here your drink," and drop it over the side. This motherfucker run all the way up. Catch this shit, right? He's got to run for his drink. Now he got paid $1 million to be a flunky for a hunky. Don't the nigga make enough money now the bottle could break and he still quenches thirst? And we have to sort out that though he's worth millions, he still needs one drink? Now I want you to understand, symbols sow the seeds of inferiority in the children. Why are the children unprepared to deal with the hunky? Because sow the seeds of inferiority. Make them accept Columbus Day and Howard. None of the students will get pissed for being off. They want off. Closing on Thanksgiving. No administrator going to ask to get their money back. because they won't support the killing of the American, a so-called Native American, because he was thanks with murder. Nobody want their values to fuck up their game. And then if that's the case, who's going to back you up? There's no one left because you wouldn't back up nobody. It's inevitable that you would have to do it alone. Hold on. One other point I wanted to make. No, it's just, I want you to conclude with the point of that the process, which, brother, what'd you do? Go out and get another video and come back?
Nah.
You took a break or something on the video?
Nah, I've been here.
Oh, okay, I must have missed you for a few minutes. I thought he was gone. Anyway, you go back to this boule. Let me just go back to them. This is the boule's logo. It's the Grecian Sphinx.
Can't see it over here.
Well, that's because we don't have an overhead projector to see. So you're not going to see the shit because you don't have the appropriate equipment. Transparencies. I asked them to get over there, and they said no. So you got to look at it like this. This is the way I used to do it. The Greek letters mean Sigma Pi Phi. It's the first of the Greek fraternities. In its history book, it says reliance was placed upon Greek history because the goal was an acquaintance with Western civilization. They didn't learn Greek because it was the Kemetic thing. They learned Greek because they wanted to get with the hunky. So to get with the hunky, you had to know the hunky history. Yes, sir. This is the book. Okay, this is the, I ain't gonna do all that tonight.
I'm saying, can you just tell us who the members are of the boule, or some names?
Okay, but see, if I tell you the names, I understand what you need, and understand the foundation that you're laying. I'm just looking at this pot now. Right. Oh, that's all right, because see, I can deal with y'all saying that because I asked you 2-3 questions and shit. Then you ought to go hang yourself off a tree for misappropriating the money. And you all going to get judged. And motherfucker say revolution, come on and say, well, look, Coakley, I was on a job in the revolution. I got a doctorate from Howard. Say, get at the back of the line, motherfucker. You delayed the revolution. Yeah, I want that bogus paper. They say, you know, I really hope Coakley win, but that's not Coakley. Just quickly, y'all want brother to come back one night?
Yeah.
Well, then don't not act like we got to fuck the pussy all out in one night. Talk to me now. Talk to me.
Brother Coakley.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to get my man down here because a couple nights we had a discussion about the hidden secrecy of this commercial with the little white girl speaking about how there'll be no there. They're gonna knock down all the walls of communication.
I'm not sure who's the commercial.
AT&T. They're speaking about knocking down all the walls of communication.
It's MCI, man. We got MCI on file here.
No, it's based upon the same premise that the Infinity Corporation used to make their commercial. Their commercial is based upon some philosophy of Zen or mysticism, and they got this little white girl standing out there in the desert saying that, you know, this is going to be the future highway. And that's based upon Clinton getting this whole thing about rebuilding infrastructure and the communication systems of America. And MCI invested $20 billion to lay fiber optics all over America. And Brother Trent, who works with hip hop and rap, brought an interesting point is that pretty soon they don't want this to come about is the fact that you'll be able to access all kinds of information, including the latest hip hop and rap on CD over the telephone lines, and not have to go to the record store. So all these record companies and record outlets and everybody's fighting this because they would knock them out of a job. So it's MCI is trying to get their little hedge in it, and I see it basically as a means of control because not too many black people will be able to afford this technology. First of all, not many of us have a personal computer. Not many of us
a Grecian sphinx, which is what their logo called. And see, I need to do this on the overhead. I do better justice showing you the symbol the size of that picture, that window, and you can look at the symbol and look at the artifacts. The logo is a Grecian sphinx. It reminds me of in the Wizard of Oz, they had them little munchkins with the wings and shit. That's the boule. They're like gargoyles or griffins. They're guardians of something higher than itself. The logo of the boule is Grecian sphinx. Whose father is a boule in here? Who is a Sigma Pi Phi family member here? Nothing wrong with it. Anybody here a member of Sigma Pi Phi family member? Okay. Hold on just one second. And so what you need to understand about the group of black men who are in most major cities in this country is that they serve as guardian or protectors for what's known as the Round Table Group. If you got that book, Committee of 300, you'll hear some dialogue about the Round Table Group. A better book about the Round Table Group is The Anglo-American Establishment by Carol Quigley, who Clinton gives honor to as his professor at Georgetown, who taught him enough about the secret society that made him go to Oxford and be in it as a Rhodes Scholar. This is Quigley's book, Tragedy and Hope. This is required reading at Georgetown. Now, at Georgetown, you learn about the secret society because the Jesuits were the ones that Cecil Rhodes patterned his secret society out. So while some students are taught about the secret society, students who are supposed to serve it are not ever given the opportunity. At Georgetown, they're taught to get higher service, president, diplomat, foreign service career officer. At Howard, you're to serve it. McDonald's, Burger King. It might sound silly, but that little commercial where the brother says you're in management now, and he's a manager at McDonald's and shit. He went to Morehouse. Only material in the country that is compelled to name the names of the enemy, no holds barred. And I stand this tape up against anybody's tape under any flavor, under any circumstance, in terms of the compelling moment about describing the enemy. You see this tape list, there are 100 tapes on a tape list because each one of those subjects was a gap in our operation as a race. A gap. The Rhodes Rothschild Secret Society. The Boule, a secret society of black men designed to protect the Round Table Group. We need to talk about the white finance Negro leadership versus Marcus Garvey. I brought a whole book here. I brought a whole book here for you. No, they ain't that one. Now, I'm going to show you Garvey fighting Rothschild and Garvey and Malcolm fighting Rockefeller. You think it's Garvey versus Du Bois or Malcolm versus Elijah. It was Malcolm versus the Hunky. It was Garvey versus the Hunky. And the other people were involved. But if you look at what they were saying, Garvey was fighting Rothschild and Cecil Rhodes and Rockefeller in 1917, and we're still trying to whip them today. Malcolm said last speech it was an international white power structure that ran the world. He didn't say Elijah Muhammad. But they reconstructed things, even with the movie, in a way to hide the enemy's real role in things. That's why gangster rap is the end-all solution to pinning the tail on the hunky.
Brother Cook.
Yes.
I want to step off the topic for a second. What do you feel about theory that deceased Mayor Harold Washington in Chicago, there that he was a conspiracy to kill him because
I don't know if I have any more tapes up here, but what happened to Harold Washington? But let me just say something here. It is not only that they killed Harold Washington, who was one of the only non-Boule mayors in this country, beside Marion Barry. They waxed Marion Barry out of office with a $4 million FBI sting. They murdered Harold Washington. They set down Boule Wilson Good, though he admitted that if he didn't back up them punkies who shot the move in the back, they would have killed him. The Boule saw Boule Bradley being set down, but he admitted he hadn't talked to Gates, his police chief, in a year and a half. They just sat down Dinkins, mayor of New York, who's a Boule. He's half black, half white, half Hispanic, half Jewish, and half a vote short. There's a thing about the Boule that appears as if that when they rule or manage something, they cannot be aggressive on behalf of the people.
Brother Copeland, I
Yes,
want
sir.
to follow up with that question.
Yes, sir.
They said he had initiated a program to rejuvenate the inner cities of Chicago. And I want to know if you could just expand on that
Street tore up.
Daily.
How many y'all in
10th
here from
Street
Chicago?
shot.
Let me say this here. Let me just say this here. And really, let me just say this here.
Vice Lord.
Casino game, we can talk all night.
Is Dennis Archer Boulay?
Hold on, who?
Dennis Archer,
Yes, new mayor of Detroit. In fact, check this out. I got a lecture scheduled in Detroit for March 11th and March 12th, Brother Charles.
Right.
It just so happened that the G7 is meeting in Detroit with its first community-based meeting ever in its history.
All right.
The G7 is the financial group set up by Rockefeller to run the world economies, which is an offshoot of the annual economic summit. The annual economic summit was an issue that President Ford went forward with in 1976 because the Trilateral Commission, which had started in 72, met with him and suggested that they needed an annual economic ceremony to prepare the people to link the destinies of the nations. In fact, if you turn on the news now, they say, what we going to do in Bosnia? They said, we got to check with the allies. They didn't say we got to check with the Americans. We ain't got to check with the black community. We got to check with a motherfucker that don't even pay tax. But to link your destiny with the allies was a part of setting you up for a world government. And then they put Star Trek on and put the Klingons and the Federation and Babylon, Deep Space Nine, to deal with the concept of the Grecian species pattern off the number 9 fucked up. So I had to take a second look. Now that's an honor to turn a motherfucker's book around.
Yeah.
Over some shit. When you look up and see most of the motherfuckers at Howard was Boulay. They found the motherfucker chapter right here at Howard. Martin Marietta. Yes, yeah. In fact, just to let y'all motherfuckers know that they gonna wipe you out, why you really think they call y'all vice?
Oh, shit.
Give a motherfucker a symbol of some shit that just
When extinct.
disappeared.
Well, Steve, you on shit tonight.
Just want y'all to be up on it now. Y'all, again, y'all ain't calling no vice because they want you to be here forever. Huh? Don't feel bad. The motherfuckers go to DePaul, they the blue demons. The motherfuckers down there in Duke, they the blue devils.
Oh.
That's some big shit. I seen a motherfucker the other day, brother black as sin. Motherfucker said fighting Irish.
Oh.
I was confused like a motherfucker. I seen motherfucker play for Minnesota called a Viking. That shit was tripping me out, coach. Right, the Colonials, motherfucker 7-foot African played for GW, and the motherfucker wear Colonial across the church. Goddamn colonized. You know? You said that was y'all got me. Listen up, listen up, listen up. Listen up, listen up. Brother Copley is just one person. So I must wind down for my own safety and security. I do, my brother Eddie, extend an open invitation to come back. I know that I'll be, I said next Wednesday, we go into the Masonic Temple. Then I'll be gone for about 3 weeks to get around the country pretty good. And that's going to take me about 4 weeks to get back here. We're going to end up with the G7 in Detroit and say, Brother Copley was supposed to speak here. The motherfucker is arrested here in Detroit, fucking with the G7. Trying to make everybody understand that's something they should pay attention to. And, but I do want to make a suggestion to you that a lot of vibrant things are going on in your community. And it's not easy to tell who's in on it and who ain't. That's the greatest thing about it. And the most honorable thing about this revolution is that it will be greatly underestimated. No one will ever know what it means when somebody go deep in your heart to scratch at you about the bottom of the shit. Understanding that once you saw clear, your decision-making authority got much better once you had better facts to work off of. That's really all this is about, trying to help you make the best decision with the best information available. The information that I have to understand the progression. I've taught a couple of classes up here. One teacher had me teach his master's class, and he gave a student an A for bringing me to class because I out-surpassed him in bringing information in a 2-hour period. And he was so honored that the student knew how to find somebody like that he had to bow, suspended him for class the rest of the semester, and gave him an A. The only point is things will change when people are offered a better menu. And I suggest your behavior will change, and it'll be a lot more accurate when you have better stimuli to work off of, and that becomes something that we have to fight for the moment. I appreciate you, Brother Eddie, for asking me to be here. I appreciate you, Brother Dion Hebrew Yehuda Smith, for egging me into making sure that I was here. And I appreciate you all. I don't even know what time it is. I know it's 9:30. Now, there must go to Howard. Probably a graduate student. Right, don't know what time it is. And that's honorable. That's honorable. That's honorable. Let me say something. Sit up, sir. That's honorable that you would do this. 2 things, Eddie. 2 things. There's a brother in New York that's a health specialist. Brother Hebrew and I are going to talk to him on the 3-way line tomorrow, Brother Valentine, their babies. Because when they know that you're going to show up their leadership with a righteous alternative, they will kill the babies rather than to let the baby see utopia under your rulership. They will do that. So things will be done. Other ways will accomplish the goals. There's no doubt about that. And again, if you study history, everybody that ruled wrong fell. So don't get to giving this hunky no extraordinary prestige. He's in the process of being taken down now. You're witnessing when a hunky woman beat another hunky woman for a gold medal and not God, you know they're at the end of their moment. It's just a matter of time. We're looking at their self-destructive behavior, and we understand it. They're fucking with you, but you're not what they're worried about. They know they've got a mechanism within themselves that's going to bust them out. All you've got to be is up to replace it. And I really appreciate, I'm not going to get to the question. I'm not going to get to it. I'm still not going to get to it. Are you going to submit? I mean, it ain't complicated. And I'm going to... All right, how about call order on me?
Anybody know that Farrakhan was scheduled to be on Arsenio Hall like a couple of days before the communist?
No, it's coming up, in fact. It was in yesterday's paper. I saw that Arsenio Hall decided to have Farrakhan on anyway, in spite of the show, in spite of the collar thing.
February 25th, something like that.
Yeah, it was announced in the paper, so you will get to see him on Arsenio Hall show. We're following in the footsteps of Jesse Jackson. Who's on for the record. Anyway, we'll say that for next time. Yeah, I am nobody.
You trip back.
Yes, brother Eddie.